Hi there. Today on Public Eye News, Governor Whitmer releases a climate plan to make Michigan carbon neutral by 2050 and a lawsuit between two hospital systems in Wisconsin.
Later, Brendan Ford will have your weather, and Michael will be back with your sports. Hi, I'm Scott Minshaw.
And I'm Michael Cudahy, and this is Public Eye News. Hi there. Governor Whitmer is asking lawmakers to triple a tax credit for low-income and moderate-income workers. The proposal could put up to $350 more back into each worker's pocket by restoring the state's earned income tax credit to 20% instead of 6%, which it currently sits at. 730,000 families would benefit from the credit, and according to 2019 tax data, that credit was worth about $150, making the amount it would be worth around $500. And Oxford High School reopened for the first time since the tragedy that took the lives of 4 students on November 30th. Students had been taking classes at other schools since January 10th as the school received renovations including new ceiling tiles, wall graphics, and paint jobs on the inside of the school. The school reopened at 10:20 a.m., a late start for the school. The temporary memorial for students was taken down as it was advised by experts to help students heal, but a more permanent memorial is being planned. And with climate change becoming more serious, Governor Whitmer is aiming to make the state carbon neutral by 2050. The Michigan Department of Health and Great Lakes and Energy released a draft of a plan that will be open to comments, concerns, and criticism over the next 2 online sessions. Now, the plan is still in its infancy as it hasn't even been decided where the money to pay for all this will come from. The plan suggests closing coal plants by 2035, but it also suggests the state install electric charging ports for more than 2 million electric cars by 2030.
As the Omicron variant of COVID-19 continues to tear its way across the state of Michigan, one school district downstate has found a unique way to implement safety protocols. The Battle Creek School District, just outside of Kalamazoo, took a vote of parents, guardians, and staff on whether or not to reinstate a mask mandate. Out of the 1,041 votes, 58% were in favor of bringing back a mask mandate in the district. According to school officials, the policy was voted in because the local community has been plagued recently with COVID-19 breakouts, and everyone was simply just tired of being in quarantine all the time. The new official mask mandate started today and will continue through the foreseeable future. The unemployment rate in Michigan is up 1.2% since August of last year, and it seems as if less and less jobs are available every day. The city of Warren here in Michigan is trying to combat this by considering incentives for a Missouri-based North Point development to demolish the former General Motors Warren transmission plant and rebuild on the same site. The proposed state tax capture plan, which is valued at $28.6 million over more than 20 years, will be used by the developer to offset costs such as site preparation and demolition. Warren Mayor Jim Fouts, a supporter of the project, says that this new proposition could bring hundreds of jobs to the city. Frightening news out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin this past weekend, as authorities say 6 people have been found dead in a residential home. Police are currently investigating and treating the discovery as a homicide. Assistant Milwaukee Police Chief Paul Formolo said during a press conference over the weekend, police were called to the home for a welfare check around 3:45 when they discovered the bodies of 4 men and 1 woman. Later Sunday evening, an additional body was discovered at the home. None of the victims have been identified so far, and no motives or any information on possible suspects is known at this time. Formolo went on to say that there is no reason to believe there is any threat to the community at this time. Stick with us, because we'll be back with national and international news after this break.
Rising political star and new father Adi Barkan's life is upended when he's diagnosed with ALS at 32. After a chance encounter goes viral, Adi and a crew of activists catalyze a movement for universal health care. Not going quietly on POV.
Tonight at 9 on WNMU-TV.
Welcome back. 7 of an 11-member team for ThedaCare have been blocked from leaving their jobs with ThedaCare after accepting positions with another company, Ascension. A Wisconsin judge blocked the move as ThedaCare operates the only Level 2 trauma and comprehensive stroke center in the Fox Valley. ThedaCare says that the employees were recruited, to which the employees say they were not. According to one member of the 7, they applied They applied for a job with Ascension, Wisconsin, and received a better offer than they expected, which prompted other employees to apply as well. The injunction against Ascension is put in place until things can be resolved, with a court hearing taking place earlier today. And the Supreme Court will hear arguments that Harvard, a private institution, and the University of North Carolina, a state school, on race in college admissions. The result could be the end of affirmative action in admissions. Lower courts rejected the previous challenges, saying that schools could use race solely to promote diversity. The court's most recent decision was back in 2016 in a 4-3 decision holding up the University of Texas's admission standards. The Supreme Court first got involved with race in college admissions with the 1978 in Regents of the University of California v. Bake, in which Justice Lewis Powell cited Harvard as, quote, an illuminating example, unquote, of a college that may use race, quote, race into account in achieving the educational diversity valued by the First Amendment.
Terror out of southwestern Germany this morning as a gunman opened fire on a lecture hall at Heidelberg University. The gunman killed one and wounded 3 people before turning the gun on himself. German police have announced they believe the gunman was acting alone and there is no longer any danger to the university or area. Belgian health officials have approved a 4th dose of the COVID vaccine for immunocompromised individuals. The decision comes as over 50,000 people traveled to the country's capital to protest vaccinations and government restrictions over the weekend. Many citizens in the country are upset with current government regulations put in place to curb the fast-spreading Omicron variant. Tensions remain high in Ukraine, with Russian troops posed to potentially invade. President Biden spent the weekend huddling with his top advisors, weighing options on how to help the U.S. ally. Natalie Brandt has the latest from Washington.
CBS News has learned that the Biden administration is considering whether to send several thousand U.S. troops and equipment to reinforce the eastern flank of NATO. But first, NATO nations would have to request the assistance. In Kyiv, the State Department has ordered the families of American diplomats to leave the country. They've advised private U.S. citizens to do the same, along with non-essential American embassy personnel.
Here on Capitol Hill, there's bipartisan support for Ukraine, but some lawmakers are pushing for more immediate action and sanctions to deter Russia from escalating further.
The noose is tightening around Ukraine. President Zelensky, as you mentioned, said he wants the sanctions now. We can always remove the sanctions if it deters Putin's bad behavior.
Along the border in Ukraine, anxious residents are trying to prepare for a possible invasion. Russia insists it has no intention of doing so. Instead, President Putin blames the U.S. and its allies for ratcheting up tensions by arming Ukraine.
What they do is they twist reality. They are always denying, what is quite obvious, in terms of the form of aggression that they're undertaking.
For now, it's a waiting game, with many convinced it's only a matter of time before Russia acts. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
And fire crews are starting to get a handle on an unusual and dangerous wildfire burning near Big Sur in Northern California. As of Monday morning, the fire has burned 700 acres with 35% of it contained. Dana Backus has the latest from Los Angeles.
The Colorado fire broke out Friday and quickly spread into the rugged mountains near Big Sur. By the weekend, it made a run toward the Pacific Ocean, forcing the closure of Route 1, the Pacific Coast Highway. Flames came dangerously close to Big Sur's iconic Bixby Bridge, but the span was not damaged. About 500 people have evacuated. While the cause is still unknown, wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour and dead vegetation are feeding the flames. The fire broke out hours after California Governor Gavin Newsom accepted $600 million in aid from Vice President Kamala Harris. The state will use the federal money for projects to reduce wildfire risk.
You heard about the loss of 7 million acres just in the last 2 years in the state of California. But it's the fear of loss that's beyond just those acres. It's the fear of losing traditions, lifestyles, people.
Cal Fire officials say it's unusual to have a wildfire on the coast this time of year. And despite months of record-breaking rain and snow, the National Weather Service described the fast-moving fire as surreal. Danya Backus, CBS News.
We'll be back with your weather and sports update. Stay tuned.
On Finding Your Roots, actors Pamela Adlon
I'm so curious.
and Katherine Hahn.
They went to a new world.
Family history reveals secrets
What? How do you know that?
and scandal.
Do you think they kept all of this a secret from everyone?
Isn't that nuts?
Plus, a DNA match.
What? That's so cool!
Tuesday night at 8 on WNMU-TV.
Hello and welcome back to Public Eye News. My name is Brennan Ford and I will have your weather update for the day. If you take a look behind me at the Northern Michigan University campus, it is snowy back there. Looking at today's conditions, it is cloudy with a temperature of 16 degrees, winds heading out of the southeast at 19 miles per hour, and a barometric pressure of 29.79 and rising. Looking at tonight, we're going to be seeing some snow and with a low of 1 degrees and winds heading out of the northwest at 13 miles per hour. Looking at tomorrow, you will see some of that beautiful sun hidden behind the clouds, but it will be a high of 7 degrees, winds heading out of the northwest at 10 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and look all over the UP today. Starting in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 18 degrees. You'll see a little bit of that sun, but it will be partly cloudy. Moving on to Manistee, it'll be 20 degrees with cloudy, and in Escanaba, 23 degrees and cloudy. Let's go ahead and move on to Menominee. It will be 18 degrees and cloudy, and over in Iron Mountain, you will see some sun, but it will be partly cloudy with a temperature of 18 degrees. And over in Ironwood, 9 degrees and cloudy. Over in Houghton, 13 degrees and cloudy. And in Marquette, you guessed it, cloudy with a temperature of 16 degrees. Let's go ahead and get on to our future weather. It will be a high of 13 and a low of 10 degrees on Wednesday, and it will be windy on Thursday, 21 degree high and a 7 degree low, and it will be snowy. And on Friday, 15 degree high and a 5 degree low and cloudy. Let's go ahead and get into your sports update with Michael Cudahy.
Hi there. We had quite a fun weekend in the NFL. The Bengals, who hadn't won a playoff game since the creation of texting, have now won back-to-back games to advance to the AFC Championship game. The Buccaneers' comeback against the Rams came up short, denying the defending chance of a chance to repeat and proving that it really was the Lions being the problem when it came to them and Matthew Stafford. The Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills played in an absolute shootout. The game ended in overtime with a walk-off touchdown for the Chiefs, with many now questioning the NFL's overtime rule as Josh Allen never got a chance to possess the ball in OT. And the Green Bay Packers have avoided losing in the NFC Championship game this year, the Packers dodging the game by having the San Francisco 49ers kick a walk-off field goal to win the game 13-10, to improve their record against Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs to 4-0. Skol Vikings. And with Kyrie Irving returning to the Brooklyn Nets, he was able to play last night as the Nets played the Timberwolves in Minneapolis. The Nets' controversial guard dropped 30 in the Nets' 17th loss of the season. The Nets were without 2014 MVP and Kevin Durant in the loss. The Timberwolves' big three, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards, combined for 71 points in the win. The Timberwolves took all of last year to get to 23 wins, but this year they sit in the 7th seed with not only having the play-in tournament in their sights, but potentially getting the 6th seed to avoid it altogether. And in college hockey, Minnesota State Mankato retakes the #1 ranking after Quinnipiac possessed the top spot for a week. Quinnipiac suffered just its second loss on the season over the weekend, whereas Mankato played St. Thomas in Minnesota's Hockey Day in Minnesota, the Mavericks winning the outdoor game on Saturday 7-1. Rounding out the top 5 in the USCHO rankings is Western Michigan ahead of Michigan, with Denver sitting at 5. St. Cloud and Minnesota Duluth sitting just outside the top 5 in 6th and 7th. And that's all the time we have for you today. I'm Michael Cudahy.
And I'm Scott Mitchell. On behalf of everyone down here at Public Eye News, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.